All right, let me see.
I mean, I know it's up there. I don't know what's going on, people, but I did see it some time ago.
Okay. All right, we on. Peace and love, everybody. It's your main man, Mr. X. Get your hand on my pocket. I'm here. You see, I got my background here with my family. Our brother, I see he's got all the revolutionaries and whatnot. I don't have them just yet, so I use my family as a inspiration. All the baby pictures and whatnot. You know what I mean? You fools don't take my pictures and try to make stuff because y'all are trolls, right? Don't take your troll job that serious. It ain't that serious. It's not that serious. What's good? I got a special guest today, Irritated Genie of Southeast. I got our brother on, and I want to open up these apps, but just for the fools who may not know who you are, brother, go ahead and give them a nice little introduction.
Yeah, well, I'm the founder of a movement called the Straight Black Pride Movement. I'm the leader of an organization called War on the Horizon, author of the book War on the Horizon: Black Resistance to the Homophile Assault. My name is they call me Irritated Genie of Southeast. My actual name is Ayo Kimathi. I'm one of two of the foremost scholars on the homophile assault on African people, dealing with homosexuality, pedophilia, and other European imperatives on the Black world community. Two world experts, myself and Baba Marlene Mubarudi. I'm an international lecturer. Also, we have a campaign through our movement called the Straight Black Pride Movement, called Building Bridges, where we're gathering people from the diaspora who are interested in taking their skills and they developed here in the Western Hemisphere and sharing it with brothers and sisters on the African continent to protect the interests of Africa and ultimately the interests of African people internationally. So these are some of the things that I've been doing. I have a radio program Monday night from 7 to 9. Sometimes it goes to 10 p.m. It's called the Straight Black Pride Movement program. It's on Facebook Live on the Irritated Genie of Southeast page. So you can watch it live on Facebook. I also have YouTube. Check Irritated Genie Speaks. They just shut down my Irritated Genie page, so I'm assuming pretty shortly they're going to shut down my Irritated Genie and stuff. So, but those are just some of the things that I do and that we're doing, and some of the things we represent.
All right. Well, the last time we had you on, it was last year, around the same time, I want to say. And, we went through some of the definitions that you all use or you came up with to explain your movement. I'm sure many of the people who follow you pretty much know what you stand for, whether they agree or disagree, that's on them. And we wanted to hit some different questions because you came back from Africa, right? And I know you want to do a show where you kind of break that down, but could you give us a little bit of your trip of Africa?
So you talking about the recent trip that we did to Africa?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we actually went to Facebook. So I want to thank the brothers and sisters out there. I know many of you who will hear this contributed money, and we got some exciting things. I'm gonna share some of those things this coming Monday. As a matter of fact, show video. And I believe it's important, particularly in this day and age, that we show people that we. Well, I don't think we. And if I'm collecting money from our people for a particular cause, I want to show them, hey, this is what I did with it. And we originally started with a $5,000 request from funds to do an African continence campaign, but because we were going to Africa on the ground and we had our Building Bridges campaign, we decreased that to $3,000 and tried to raise $7,000 for the on the ground movement because a lot of things that we want to do on the ground. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to really do some really wonderful things. We went to Zimbabwe. Like I just got off the radio from England. The UK group, Galaxy Radio, very powerful radio programming in UK, brothers and sisters. start tuning in. You can listen online to Galaxy Radio. Very, very excellent radio. You'll enjoy that. Sister man named Sister Shanice with Starlight Global does a tour to Zimbabwe every year.
Okay.
And this year, the Straight Black Pride movement came in conjunction with Starlight Global. And we only brought myself and another brother who actually is the trainer of Venus and Serena Williams.
Oh, wow.
And also he's a practicing dentist. And basically what we did was, the whole idea of building bridges is saying, hey, look, what skills and do we have here? How can we help the African continent? And what does the African continent have, that we can benefit from as well? So it's an exchange. So we're building a bridge to say, hey, the right people that need to be in Africa and America, let's build a bridge so we can go back and forth and work with one another and help our people. So we went on the tour, it was a 14-day tour. We started in Harare, which is the main city of Zimbabwe. As soon as we got there, the next day, we got there on a Friday. On a Saturday, I did a seminar for the youth called African Survival. I'm still in contact with many of the young people that we were working with there. Also, the doctor, who's a dentist, did a seminar for the dental students in Zimbabwe. We were met by the agency that is in charge of tourism in Zimbabwe, and we began to talk about our efforts as people in the diaspora to bring brothers and sisters to the country in order to help them with their financial situation and to make it an attractive place for brothers and sisters to come and share our economic, share time, energy, culture, and our economics, spend money with our people there. So it was a very interactive tour. We did everything from some brothers and sisters went to the local nightclubs to see what the clubs were like. Mm-hmm. Some brothers and sisters, we went to the business district where we found people who make clothes, and I actually have a relationship that we developed our first tour there with a sister who makes clothes, and she makes clothes for the Straight Black Pride movement, and we stayed in touch, so we got the brothers and sisters there who came from London. I think it was 38 of them, and they got to meet the seamstress and get measured for clothing, and she made the clothes for them. So before they left, they actually were able to have clothes made, handcrafted from fabric they picked in the style they wanted, and to walk away with a good price with magnificent style. We brought a large number of men's shirts back here to America. So we went to, of course, we went to the Great Wall of Zimbabwe. We went, this is some of the history that we don't know about, but it's fascinating. And it's heart-wrenching, too. In Zimbabwe, when they were fighting, put the whites out of their country and get free, it was a physical war. It wasn't by talking. It was physical people getting killed. And there was a huge massacre the whites did of all these black people. But it was in the 1980s, but that's not a long time ago. We were alive when this happened. And they slaughtered like thousands of black people, but they wanted to hide it. So they threw them down this chamber, it's a natural area. They could throw them down in it. And once they threw them down, they tried to throw acid on top of them and burn them and everything like that, but they couldn't get rid of all of the remains. So it's a site now where you can go that memorializes this slaughter. It's just one slaughter where we actually have the history of it, because they weren't able, they killed so many people, they couldn't, even with acid, they couldn't wash away and erase the remnants of the bodies of our ancestors, the black brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe that they killed, trying to prevent them from putting the whites out of their country. So, we go see that. Of course, we see the beautiful things like we went to different parks, reserve parks, so you see a lion, we see an elephant. We got brothers actually in certain places, standing right with lions, petting them, living right, to some degree, right in the area with the wildlife. It was safe, but you were close enough to get the instant to just ride right out there. Then you can go see the elephants, and, all kind of wildlife. We saw the water where we see, literally, we can see the hippopotamus and coming up to drink. We sitting there waiting to say, uh-oh, one of the niggas might get caught today, you know. You see the clock go in the water because he's trying to eat. So, like, we actually seeing the things that we view on National Geographic, but we're actually participating. We went to what they call Victoria Falls. I forget the African name, so I don't want to butcher it. I should remember that. But so we got to see the Great Falls of Zimbabwe. It was beautiful. We came back up again and saw some of the wildlife. So we had a big participated in a big seminar where the country was working to put together a social order to say we're not going to let, pretty much essentially what they were saying, we're not going to let these white folks come back in and take our country back. Because due to the economic issues that exist today, there's a lot of pressure of people to relinquish the power of the country over the white folks again, because the economic strain from the white sanctions and some of the corruption, which really does exist from the higher levels in Zimbabwe and any other African government, has led the people to be so dismayed that some of them are asking for white rule again. So many words. So we were able to be in a conference, but we at the same time, we're Africans, so we're bringing in money, we're bringing in support, and you're not going to allow them to do this because it doesn't make any sense. Don't spit in the face of your ancestors before it be born, so you get what happened. So it was a fantastic, but I mean, I'm just giving you some of the remnants of the highlights of the things I can remember right offhand in Zimbabwe. We spent 2 weeks there. Then myself and the doctor went to Azania. In South Africa, Azania, what we did was it was a lecture tour where I was going university to university and lecturing to the university students, going to different regions of the country. And what I can tell you is that I can honestly say the homophile problem, pedophilia and homosexuality, the problem in South Africa is probably at least 25% worse than what we're facing here in America.
Wow.
That would be my estimation. If I had to say how bad it is here, I would say they're 25% advanced in the wrong direction from where we are. I would say that Zimbabwe will be 50% to where we are, maybe 25% to where we are. Meaning they're coming this wrong direction, but they're only, at the most, I would say 50% here, if they're that far. South Africa, I would say 125%. They're past where we are, maybe 150%. It's much worse there than it is here. But we were able to go to the university and shed light of what has happened to us here as a basis for what's happening to them there, and they were able to get a different vision and sight of what they're facing. And to be able to say, we see what we're dealing with now, and to make some curve adjustments, and the young people truly appreciate it. It was a very major discussion and major revelation as to what we're dealing with. So it was extremely impactful tour to South Africa. I even did a radio interview. I don't know if you were able to see that one with a female. I think she's a mulatto.
Yeah.
I don't think she's black.
No.
Iman Rapetti. And she's an international figure, in fact. And I did a radio interview on Power 98.7 there in Azania, one of the biggest radio stations in the country. And she did her best to try to make homophilia part of the African cultural paradigm, because that's the narrative that's been given to African people in Africa, particularly in South Africa. And, of course, I stood in this position as a true, proud, productive African and the premier scholar in this field. And we had the back and forth. People can see it and judge for yourself. You go to Irritated Genie Speaks page and put in the radio interview with 98.7, Irritated Genie, put it in, it'll pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to see it. But it was important because most of our people in South Africa have never heard someone dispute the idea that this is our culture.
Right.
They haven't heard it articulated in an intellectual manner, and the idea is penetrating. In fact, just this year, they voted that this upcoming school year, the entire curriculum will be teaching that homosexuality is normal throughout the nation of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about a complete onslaught directed and focused at getting the children to accept it and turning the children against the natural culture of black man, woman, child. So we're facing a huge crisis, but we're there on the ground having an impact. We have people right now that we're in the process of starting a Straight Black Pride chapter in Azania. It may take about a year to really get it done and cracking and going, but the people are ready to start resisting this. And so basically our tour, and again, this Monday at 7 p.m., I'll show some of the things so people can see as opposed to hear me talking, but we actually were engaged in the international exchange. Our brothers and sisters in Africa were giving us culture and history of the continent. We were providing a cultural warfare paradigm of resistance of white supremacy and white cultural imperialism. And so we had a beautiful exchange in both countries, being mutually beneficial for all parties, and we're remaining in touch. So it's become an open dialogue where now they're asking for us to put them in touch with other people from America who they can bring on, and people who will talk and speak and lecture and bring light to the region as well. So it was just a phenomenal experience, and we're going back again next year, October 4th through the 18th, back to Zimbabwe. We invite everybody to Straight Black and Pride. Just come on proud, come along on the tour, enjoy yourself, and have a beautiful lifetime.
You know, it's interesting because when you came back, you came back with some fire, and I know for the most part, we want to deal with solutions. We want to deal with, and you guys, seeing your platform and seeing that you have solutions with this homophile assault, as you say, and to get right to it. But at the same time, we have to have these conversations so people have a different frame of thought. I saw the interview with the lady, and she was the politest person I'd ever seen in terms of defense of LBGTism. Not so much here in America in regards to changing the minds and thoughts of our people, because it was a female. And coming from you, from what you have said before, every assault on an African male is led by black women. Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, and in this particular case, I was the only caveat I would make is I really think she doesn't come out and say what her racial makeup is, but as far as I'm concerned, she's a mulatto. She just did not strike me as a black woman, so I don't want to put that on our sisters. But it's coming to a female who may have a black parent. Mm-hmm. We can say that she may have a black parent. And what they're doing is, it's the good thing is that we've already, people that are familiar with us, we've given the construct. So, and let me just say this, and I'm not saying it for the basis of bragging or anything like that, but I want to be clear about this. I'm talking about the modern context. I'm not talking about the destruction of black civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams and Dr. John Henry Clark. I'm talking about in the last 10 to 15 years. The people who have, I'm going to take credit for being a person, probably the person, who has consistently interjected into the minds of our people the importance of understanding how the mulatto has been used and is being used as a key functional player in the oppression of African people. So this is something that I have done and I am doing now to keep people reminded. So I say that in the light of the fact of saying, if you hear more and more people now are talking about, that's a mulatto. Now we got to be careful. Sometimes these mulattoes are working against us. That's a good thing because now it's not as effective when we're seeing what's happening. This was that case in point where they get, and to your point, there are many black women in South Africa. I mean, the general consensus is that they're pro-gay, to be perfectly honest, of the black women in South Africa. So, and it's extremely pervasive. Like, it's as pervasive, maybe more pervasive than it is in America. That's how bad it is. At the same time, this appears to be a mulatto, and what they're doing in the country is through the feminist a legitimate resentment to black men for the rape and sexual abuse that's occurring, because the level of sexual abuse occurring in South Africa is unimaginable at the moment. It's unthinkable. It's an absolute horror. So, due to that, when you take into consideration that it is actually occurring, and then you add to the fact that it's actually occurring, the fact that the white females and the lesbians and homosexuals had the door open to them to indoctrinate South Africa by Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was the doorway of homophilia, the open doorway into the intellectual minds of our people through the educational system into South Africa. That was one of the main things that he did while in South Africa as president. He invited that through the endorsement of a homophile named Peter Durkheim. What has happened is, due to the sexual abuse and the resentment and being open to hear something like that based on this, our women have been used as the cannon fodder to really push this sexual degeneracy and support and accept it as part of the culture of South Africa. So very similar to what we see happening here. Sexual abuse and molestation by black men in the church of our own women. Then going to the next level of the color purple and the exploitation of that sexual abuse, and then psychologically taking our women in the wrong direction through mass media. And then through the political acceptance and promotion of it through a black person that they support. In South Africa, it would be Nelson Mandela. In America, it would be Obama. Now, it would be Minister Farrakhan. They use black figures that we respect and get them to endorse this endeavor, and then they begin to usher in this as acceptable behavior, and now it's a crisis situation.
Now, that was one of the bombs you came with. I have a few other questions, but since you hit that buzzword name, we can get right into that. And in regards to the minister's resume, what he's done with the nation, what he's done for black people, and that so on and so forth. I think from the perspective of straight black pride, I think that the question comes to my mind personally, and I'm sure other people are thinking about this in regards to his stance now. Do you believe, one, is it his own thinking, or is someone else telling him to speak this way? And two, if that's the case, does it neglect and negate everything he's done up to this point?
That's an excellent question. Well, one, I would say I can only speak on what I believe because I don't know. But it's drastic enough and dangerous enough and important enough that I have every right and responsibility to give my opinion. So I'm going to say my opinion is that this is small hat sponsored, because this is the kind of thing that the small hats do. This is the kind of mechanisms that they use. I don't see what benefit the promotion of this kind of behavior would have for the development and growing the institution called the Nation of Islam. The men and women who have historically been attracted to that movement have been attracted for two primary reasons. One, they love black people and they don't like white oppression. And two, they're trying to turn their lives around, better their lives, and become better people and live by higher standards. Neither of those two things is supplemented by the promotion of homosexuality and sexual pedophilia. It's contradictory to the very reasons that people go in. So you wouldn't grow the institution by being favorable to those things. So I don't see it as organized effort to grow the institution, because that's not how that institution has ever grown and been prosperous and become powerful. In fact, it's become powerful with the very opposite of that happening. So with that in mind, I believe the small hat sponsored, and that this is being done specifically as a weaponized tool against African people. And I believe he's the tool to do it. It just makes no sense, and I'm going to go even further with that. The moves and the things that are being done almost point for point, diametrically opposing things that we're doing at the time. So if we're saying pedophilia is a huge problem and we need to fight against it, then all of a sudden the nation of Israel is defending the pedophile. If we're saying that homosexual images are a negative thing and we need to be fighting against it, all of a sudden the nation of Israel is saying totalitarian patients and spiritual justice. When we're organizing people on the ground to shut down the Zulu nations, the people who in the Zulu nations that were essentially abusing our children, we organizing homes by New York communities to come together across all boards. We had the Hebrew Israelites and African nationalists work together. No. We were standing right next to the ISUPK Hebrew Israelites. We had Moors. We had all different groups coming together saying, yeah, we all are just people exploiting our children. Let's do something about this. The minute we're saying get on the ground and fight a war against sexual abuse of black people, at that very same time, it became the nation of Israel. Popping up, Mr. Farrakhan in a picture with African Bambaataa. You see Bambaataa right there. And then they're attacking us. So why do you attack people now who are organized in a manner that we're having organized, systematic approach to prevent and to fight homophilia in the spring of pedophilia in the black community? And we organize people to fight pedophilia and sex children. And if that's the time that you're going to come publicly or Mosque Moyam and attack us, we see it as an organized effort to prevent black people from taking up a legitimate battle. In the 21st century, we really haven't taken a lot of legitimate political battles that are in the interest of protecting the future of African people. And every time that we try to gain momentum to do so, we see the nation of Islam in the modern context of the leadership of Minister Farrakhan, in the modern context, stepping out the interest to prevent that. So that's my opinion on that. To your question, does it negate the good? No. He did good, now we're good. I can't take that for good. I can't take anything from the man that did good. This ain't good, though. So if we're going to accept the good, we have to accept the bad, too. And I don't mean accept it like allow it to happen. If we're going to credit him for the great work that he's done, then we have to also chastise him for the damage that he's trying to do to our people. He goes both ways. But the same thing for me. If I do things for the harm to our people, then I need to be checked on that. I need to be called out. People need to assess with Brother Genie. This is not beneficial to our people. Not based on some opinion about something I'm saying is true about somebody, but if it's something I'm doing that I'm promoting, but it's going to be damaging to us as a race and in the wrong direction, then I need to be challenged for that. And I don't want nobody not to challenge me because nobody has the license to lead our people to destruction.
You know, I talked to you about this on your last show, if you recall, when I said, when you're talking about someone like Farrakhan and there's disputes, just like you said. Can you hear me? Oh, okay.
I can hear you, man.
Okay. That you, someone like Farrakhan, if there was some disputes, if there was a situation where Minister Farrakhan, I don't agree. I really don't agree personally with any backing of people who do this type of behavior, who have been certified and accredited, and there's proof of these people sexually assaulting young people, sexually assaulting young girls, can have continued to do it even though they've been talked to before. I don't agree with you defending them. Now, this has been going around a little while in terms of how to address the conscious community. Brother Umar Johnson talked about this last year in terms of how to bring people in the court of order, where we have all people here, who's around the table, who's brought up on charges, who's going to delegate. Now, you're talking about the top now. So in regards to, us, we can do videos and whatnot, but for someone to have the respect of the minister, to sit down with him and say, Minister, I think this is a bad stance for us as a people. Do you feel there are a few of our brothers and sisters who are Babas, who have been doing this 40, 50 years and have the respect for Minister Farrakhan, is that you think there's a possibility that there could be a sit down to discuss the comments that he's made?
I mean, if somebody wanted to do that, that would be fine. But for me, at this point, there's a non-negotiable position. Like, there's nothing for me to talk to you about anybody that promotes homophilia. And if somebody does, I think that's good. But if you're promoting this, which is out of the 4 primary threats to African survivors, this is the most lethal of all 4 of those threats. You either got it right or you don't. If you don't got it right, then there's nothing for us to talk about. You need to listen to me and get it right and then adjust your thinking. I'm not interested in negotiating with people that are doing harm on this level with our people now. If a person doesn't understand, am I willing to share information with them? Sure. But I'm correct. I'm the alpha male on this. I'm not looking for somebody's opinion on this. I'm correct on this. We got to save our people. So there's nothing in the middle. Everybody has to come to this position. And we should all go to be in a position. We should protect our women and children. I mean, it's not the man who we can have a discussion. It should maybe sodomized, retailing involved in this situation. It should be accepted with a cultural prayer for us to have to do this. It's not a debate for me. So I think it would be good if somebody did tell it. I don't care if they do or not. Because as far as I'm concerned, our people are in a condition of cowardice. So you would really be asking, are a bunch of cowards going to go sit down with a man who's out of line? And I would say, I doubt it would happen because they're cowards anyway, because if they weren't cowards, they'd already done it. I'm the only person I know right now that has this kind of courage and audacity. So I'm not going to put some more other people that I haven't seen that have that kind of character to do. I don't see people with that kind of character. I see them with that kind of courage, or that kind of backing, or that kind of power to be able to sit down with them, talk to them like that.
So that would bring me to the next question in regards to, in your opinion, the definition of a black man. What should the black man be ready to die for?
And I'm just gonna make a slight adjustment in that. I'll say, what we should be ready to kill and take lives for.
Okay.
Only because I ain't trying to die. I want to follow. I mean, I don't want to have to kill, but let's be real, you know. And Wolf Street, your objective is not to die.
Right.
You got to go to war. You want your enemy to lose. So I'm gonna say, what should we say? This is so important that I would take your life for. Protecting our children. And I'm gonna be honest with you why I say that. Listen, why do you say protecting women and children? I'm gonna tell you in the modern context, because we have failed to do our job as men to protect our women. Our women have become so much, so damaged that to a large degree it's hard to defend them, because a lot of times we have to defend them from themselves. Like, they're who we're fighting. Like the Just Sky situation is a great situation I'm talking about. I can't defend Just Sky because her behavior is detrimental to my daughters and others. So I have to, you know, as much as I love her music, maybe, or some of her music, the music that I know of her, and her talent, I have to back away and not promote her and project her. Because I don't even want my daughter to hear her name, because I don't want my daughter to run across that. So I'm saying at the same. It's hard in today's world to say with a broad brush. Yes, we should protect our women, because a lot of times that's how we gotta defend ourselves against their behavior. But without any question, stand with this to be allowed them to be, and that's not their fault. We're the ones that brought them here. It's our responsibility to prevent them from being in the condition they're in, and we're doing a failed job. When people are sexually violating our children or destroying our children with intent to do so, should be willing to go to whatever extreme is necessary to prevent that.
All right. So another name popped in my mind because South Africa has been in the news recently in terms of taking the land back. And initially, you were in support. All right. So can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
I said South Africa has been in the news recently, the last few months. Julius Malema, initially, you were in support of him. But what is your take of him now? How do you stand with Julius Malema and is his team and his organization trying to get the land back from the whites?
Yes. I won't say that I've ever been quote unquote in support of him. Let me say it like this. In order for our people to understand what's happening, even with people who are doing things around them, you kind of have to. And the narrative that Brother Molina was putting out was that the black people South Africa have to take the land. To the degree that that's his narrative, not only was I in favor of that then, I'm still in favor of that narrative. And so if he's given that narrative, my public position has to be, hey, we're in favor of the narrative that he's given because it's the correct narrative. So that's the narrative I agree with then, I still agree with it. I agree with them, I still agree with it now. However, to have that narrative under the condition that that group, the EFF, Economic Freedom Fighters, is one of the primary groups that is licensing, promoting, and defending the homophile agenda and promoting it as normal and natural and defending and pushing that behavior to be accepted by black people. Of course, I'm absolutely not in favor of that. And so what we're trying to do is we got to let people know who he is and the narrative, because our people don't like the narrative, because we think that we should take our land back there. But at the same time, that we have that narrative, we have to understand the terms. So on one hand, they're talking about we need to take our land back. But in other terms, when Uganda is making laws to stop people from raping little boys and giving them AIDS, and they say we'll put you to death and give you the death penalty when you do that, what group is it writing letters to Uganda and chastising the president for the decisions they make in Uganda? The EFF, same organization. So here's an organization on the one hand saying we want to preserve African land and reclaim African land, but then on the other hand saying we want to give away African culture and no longer protect the sexual, social, cultural interests of African people. We'll give away our identity so we can get some land. Which means if we did that, of course, we would never even be able to defend the land. So my position on Malema hasn't changed as much as we're given a broader perspective of who the brother is and what he's doing. We love the narrative. It's an excellent narrative. We got to take our land back. You know, it belongs to us. We're the people of South Africa. It belongs to the original black man. It's a great narrative. So we need to keep that narrative and go ahead and do it. If you say that, let's see you do it. We want to survive and we want to support that any way we can as African people in the diaspora. At the same time, not at the expense of our culture. Can't do it.
This is something I've been struggling with personally, and I think you're the guy to ask. I know you have a DVD called "I'm Conscious Now What," and it's I believe it's great DVDs, great information, because once someone is so-called woke or conscious or knowledgeable about what's going on in society, what steps do they take to rectify the situation or join the so-called quote-unquote movement. There's also a thing, and I saw this as well with your GoFundMe to go to Africa, collecting resources and how to do business, because now you see the world as it truly is. And, capitalism is diametrically opposed to African consciousness. So in your humble opinion, how do you deal in regards to business to be able to get resources and take care of the knick-knack things, the food, clothing, shelter for your initial family, but at the same time garnering the funds and resources you need to basically build your own community and make those connections to the homeland? What's the best form of action you believe?
Okay. I think that, I'm glad you asked, because on December 2nd here in D.C., I'm going to be doing the third installment in the Mind Your Black Business series, or Mind Your Black Business. So that's the name of the lecture series. And we've done part 1 and part 2. We're going to be doing the third part, which is how we get our wealth back. So we're going to be going in depth with that. But I think that it's kind of quite a short glimpse into where we're going with it. We have to, in my estimation, change our perspective on the way we view economics, capitalism, and all this kind of stuff. What happens is the people that have come before us and have analyzed these European systems and have given us proper, true criticism of their existence, why they exist, how they operate, what damage they do, and all that. But what happens is, as soon as we find out how evil they are, our objective is to then throw it away and then think about what we're going to replace it with. Then we look for another European system without really getting to the core of this saying, okay, if this is the way that that's done, what is the centerpiece of what economics is? What is it? And then what does it mean for us? And what is our own direction on this? What we do is we just replace one of their systems with another one. So
Right.
I think we should be socialist. I think we should be no. What we need to do, in my estimation, is asking people say, look, what is an economy based off of? The economy is based off people's culture, their sense of themselves, and the direction they're going to go. So whatever their interests are, they just want to be comfortable and live peaceful lives, and they build an economy based off of eating and the food for themselves, farming, shelter, things of that nature. That's what they do. If they if their economy is based off of European, for instance, the European sense of an economy internationally, the whole construct of it, is based off two primary things. What is one thing? They want to be able to control the lives of the people on this planet.
Mm.
In order to do that, in order to control the lives and the destiny of other people on this planet, everything on this planet, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to control their resources and other things. So they invest in two primary things that allow them to control the planet. One is weaponry. If they don't have the physical capacity to make you do what you don't want to do, then they can't control you. Two, that lasts until those people get the same weapons you have and start fighting back. So in order to keep control, you have to control the minds of people, the information systems. Those are the two things that they invest in. So we're talking about psychological, education, all of the stuff they control, media, controlling the minds of people so that they can get people to do what they want the people to do without having to physically make them do it. And then the monster effect, I'll make you do it if you say you don't want to do it. Somebody wake up out of that because I can physically force you to do it because I have weapons to make it happen.
Right.
Everything that they do in the economy is based off of that, and everything else we see, the restaurants, this is how you feed the people that's gonna. You have to feed the people comfortably and have housing for the people ultimately that are going to support the system that allows them to go around and target people internationally for basically terrorism and control people's minds. So everything you see is just to supplement and make it comfortable for that system of domination to exist. So when we have to say it after people, we got to say, we should look at capitalism. Yeah, it is. But what is capitalism? It's an economic system of white supremacy. It just puts the name they use for them coming in, undermining our systems of trade and commerce, overthrowing those resources, taking control of it, and then taking us, using us to take our wealth and give to them. Okay, yeah, that's capitalism. It's just white domination of African people, or Asiatic domination of African people, or Arab people. So, and then, of course, in their absence, we adopt these same principles to treat ourselves the same way they would treat us, because that's what we've been getting. What we got to say is, what is our objective and agenda as a race of people? The white agenda is to control and dominate the people of this planet, make them do what they want to do when they want to do. Period. What is our objective? The reason it's difficult for us to develop an economy and maintain it is because it's not based in any end goals. We haven't sat down and said, okay, this is what we want. So for instance, the Chinese, after the Opium Wars, Mao Zedong really saved the Chinese from extinction to some degree. They beat the British and they said, okay, we're not going to ever let this happen again. And then they got rid of their race traitors. But then there came a point where the Chinese said, we appreciate the social the warfare, the social aspect of what Mao Zedong did. But now we got to go a different direction. We got to make sure this shit happens again. So we can't just sit here and maintain our culture and say everything's cool. No. We got to make sure we put ourselves in a position that this can't occur again. And they begin, he was no longer president, and they start going a different direction. And now what we see is that they've taken their billion people number and they've become one of the world powers on the planet without question. Now, please forgive me, I got a cold, so I'm just mentioning that now. But so now the Chinese have decided we want to be in power on the planet. We want to be able to defend ourselves and never allow them to be able to do this to us again. So let's get into technology, let's get into science, let's get into commerce, let's get into production. And they've done it. They didn't debate each other about it. They killed the race famous, and then they established the goal, and now they set it forth in a matter of 60 years, 70 years, 100 years. The Chinese have gone from being the last power on the planet to one of the world powers. Some people say it's the most powerful country, others say the U.S., others say Russia, but I mean, it's in the top three by everyone's count. We as African people have not decided what our objective is yet. And until you decide what your objective is, the real construction of your economic purview doesn't really come into play. Honestly, what you're doing is you're just surviving in everybody else's economic construct. So with that said, since we haven't done that, I would say we're not in a position to fight capitalism or anything else. What we have to do is be in a capitalist society, we have to capitalize. We have to develop stack capital, take care of our families, try to build our own business infrastructure. Within the context of that society, being a social society, we got to do the same thing. Protect our interests and take the money that we have to build something. But ultimately, what we have to do is create the goals that we're building towards, and then we put our money and our production capacity into building that goal and going in the direction that we want to go. But we haven't decided what that direction is yet.
One thing I got from listening to Dr. Johnson was he talked about any individual who considers themselves conscious and speaks the language of our ancestors, if you want to say, and disseminates information, whether it's stolen, referenced, or whatever, that people who are at their own homes locally, wherever you're from, whether it be DC, Albany, New York, Chicago, Detroit, wherever you're at, what is being done locally? What does your home base look like? And you mentioned, I believe it was you talked about a gang that was in DC that was full of gay men. Does that, let me start there. Am I correct on that assumption? You talked about that?
Check it, yeah.
Are they still active? And what is the status? Because I understand the documentary was made and the narrative was completely changed.
Man, what they've done is they've funded them, given them a building, and now they have a store. So they commercialized them. They've given them an infrastructure so that they're now not just guys running around the street. Now they've given them a power base. They've been funded. So they're being, what they're doing is they're creating a terrorist, sexual terrorist cult that's armed with, I'm going to put it this way, I'm not the most physical arms, but you don't get there. But what they're doing is, they know that these individuals are victims of sexual abuse. Sexual abusers are terrorists to children. They terrorize children. So they're taking these individuals who they know are going to terrorize children based on what they've been through. They're legitimizing their behavior and their condition. They're monetizing it, and they're creating something that we're going to have to be leaving around for our children to have to deal with, because our sons and our daughters are now going to have to deal with a monetized, organized pedophile cult that has been established, protected, funded, and now our children are have to be awarded. They have to face of how do we stop these people from raping us? And we're sitting right by idly and watching it happen. Yes, they're here. And see, I'm watching this all happen, so I understand what happens. what's going on. But the only way you can fight it is to build something different and build a resistance to it. And then once the resistance is strong enough, then you can go in. You can't go in until there's enough resistance. And right now, our people are more inclined to defend the insanity than they are to defend African people. And that's a perfect example. And I go back, I'm not picking on them, but it's real. When you hear Farrakhan speaking on defending R. Kelly, he never mentioned the girls that he raped. He needs no defense for the girls, no defense for the children whose lives were destroyed. Only defending and calling the godly person, and not the women who didn't turn themselves out and recovered from that and going on with life. But R. Kelly is the one that has God in him. He got that relationship with God. He got to be spiritual. How you spiritual for raising black children? In that environment, it becomes very difficult to fight this stuff because people respect the most are now enforcing these people. And when you go look, when people put the clips out and talk about R. Kelly, people don't want to defend themselves, you don't defend them. But how do you know that he was defended? Because when you read the comments of the people, they say, thank you for this minister, because I love R. Kelly's music, and now I feel comfortable doing it. Mm-hmm. I love R. Kelly. He's wonderful. And you can see the impact it's having. Like, I couldn't make that up. These are random people giving their opinion. So we see an organized effort to prevent us from creating a climate where we can protect our children from this coming onslaught.
Silas, well, you know what? I'll start here because I wanted to ask this. You mentioned that you had walked with Brother Khalid Muhammad, and in the last few days, I had been listening to a few of his lectures while he was in the mosque and while he wasn't. And I got to thinking, and I know someone personally, actually, one of my counselors and advisors said he walked with him as well in his days in the mosque. And we talked about this briefly, and I came to the conclusion that he was ready for guerrilla warfare the day, because you had mentioned you had walked with him one time, and from what you've known of him, do you believe he was really, if he had an army, 100, 200 brothers that were ready to go, do you believe he was someone who was ready and interested in guerrilla warfare to take it to the enemy?
I would say there's something, just for clarification. I never walked with him. I met him one time.
Okay. Okay.
So I met him physically, shook his hand, but I never walked with him. So people that know him very well. He did have, there were times when he had been very well organized. Even when it came to the wrestling, anybody ever come down to explain the story how it went down, he had been there. He had to tell them to stand down and went for a leave attention. So I'm saying that to say he was very, very, very prepared for whatever level was necessary to go to bring our people out of this condition. I'm not saying that it was totally funded. I'm not saying that it was totally complete in that regard of everything needed to make it happen, but that was certainly one of the many things that he was involved in. To our discussion there, we can talk about what he said from on his own lecture. The lecture that you can watch where he's debating two small hats, two white so-called troops. And he talked about the fact that he went and did the research for Idi Amin. But once he did that research, the government of Uganda realized that the Indians and the Jews controlled their economy. And now you see the elite talking, so he realized that Uganda was going to be broke. And that's why I still did that. So Brother Khalid helped to do the research on African nation to realize how they were being economically strangled by the small ass, but also that it got them expelled from the country. And most people don't know the relationship with the Jews with Uganda. That's an extremely important thing that he was able to do, because understand, this is the kind of relationship and the kind of interest the small hat had on a country like Uganda. When they were deciding what country they were going to stay with their homeland, it was not just Israel and Palestine. That's not true. They said they were going to pick between Argentina Palestine, in Uganda. One of those few places they said this is going to be where we would say God promised them homeland. And they end up picking Palestine. So now we see the battle over that being holy land and all the kind of they're talking about, whatever. They've done the same thing in Uganda. They've been the holy land, blah, 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 blah. When they've done Argentina, this is the holy land of the Bible, blah, 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 blah. In the strict Palestine. That's probably a benefit to us, but it was certainly a major thing Dr. Collins was able to do to be able to push them out like that, because for them to even think that they could pick that country, that they had the kind of influence and relationship where they could have made that decision.
Okay. All right. So last question, brother, and I thank you for your time with us today. The future of straight black pride, the future of war on the horizon. We got a long way to go in terms of bettering the conditions of our people. I think one thing that is, I guess if you want to look at it in terms of successful or to be happy about, if you want to say to use that term, in regards to the voting, and that the Negroes were peddled out and pushed out to for us to vote for. And I think the majority of our people have been caught on to the trichonology finally, all this time finally, that they have recognized that we have got nothing from voting, and people have backed away from voting. So I think, in that regard, we're going in the right direction. Obviously, we still have to deal with the acceptance of gayism, LGBTism, but in terms of the future, whether it be near future or 10 or 15 years from now, what do you see war on the horizon? What do you see straight black pride?
I'll answer the two ways. If I have the time, I'd like to comment on the voting part first.
Okay.
I don't agree with the assessment that voting has helped. I don't agree with that assessment. I think that we haven't gotten to the level of political sophistication to understand what we're supposed to do. But it goes back to the original assessment. We haven't decided what we want as a race of people. Therefore, we really don't know how to analyze economics, politics, or anything else. When we had someone that was voting for, voting has worked. So, for instance, Adam Clay Powell, voting worked. Very, voting worked. Cynthia McKinney, voting worked. Voting can work. We don't understand what voting is. All voting is, for an African who understands the condition that it is, it's a tool. Just like you have a gun or a shovel. Well, if I'm a farmer, I gotta break some dirt. A gun does not help me. Now, I'm trying to get a crop out. Giving me a gun doesn't help me. If someone says, she have guns, she's not a gun. You don't understand. I'm a farmer. I need to shovel. But if I'm the person that's trying to defend myself from terrorism, a shovel is nice. I'd rather have a gun. Voting is a weapon that can only be used if you know the bullets to put in it out. What are the bullets for our gun? The bullets for the gun are voting is this. The only politicians that have really worked for black people have been freedom fighters who got into politics. I'm not talking about the European perspective. I'm talking about from an African perspective in this country. The people who were never politicians to begin with, but then someone pushed them into politics because they're freedom fighters. Anyway, Mary Brain is in slick. He wasn't a politician. He was a freedom fighter. Mm-hmm. So once he got into politics, he just was a freedom fighter, took a political position, and used it to give our people the money. That's why you see the 7 and the 10 wealthy black neighborhoods in the country are right here in PG County. Because Mary Brain, when he did DC, we ended up moving out to PG and created this county. Because it was PG. It ain't just that simple. Adam J. Brown, the greatest single black politician in the history of the country. What happens is that instead of looking for freedom fighters, since that's what works for them, and putting them into politics, and then we vote for them, which is not really voting for them, we just putting people in position of power to give us what we want. Mm-hmm. That's the way we're supposed to be using voting. Or we're supposed to say, okay, we have an agenda. This is what we want. We don't care about voting, however. It's the only thing. Which one of these people will give us an agenda? So that's the one that they're going to vote. Why? Because if we have a swing vote and they want that, then we have leverage to make sure whatever it is we want, we get. It doesn't have nothing to do with believing in the process. It's simply leverage, like any tool. It's my gun. It's my bullet. My bullet is that you need my bullet. The only time I'm going to is if we can get some out of it. If we don't even have an agenda, there's no reason to vote. If we don't have a person that's going to serve our interests, but we've already created, they already exist and fight for anyway. That's how we know they do it, because they already done it. There's no reason to vote. If we don't have an agenda, then someone say, okay, we'll fulfill your agenda if you do this. You say, okay, we'll vote for you, but you don't get a this. All right, so give it this, give it this, give it this. But that's only you get a vote. Not because we care, but because if we don't vote for them, the other person will win. So we just using something to leverage power in that position without any real consideration for the process. We don't care about the process, except that we get something from it. We don't understand warfare. So that would be my statement on politics. The next part of it, what I see straight by pride, One Horizon. One Horizon is the tool, the instrument used to share information with our people internationally about primary threats to African survival and ultimately African survival in the 21st century beyond what we need to do to survive. That's going to grow and it's going to become more confident because more and more people are getting the message. And so you're going to see radio stations, television stations, not call War on Africa, but you're going to begin to see this message penetrating through mass media forums that are controlled by Black people in Black nations, in Black controlled environments. You're going to hear this narrative because it's penetrating. And they can see, our people can see what's happening now because there's more information, not just what we're doing, more information getting out there for people to get a better perspective. Straight by pride movement, what's happening is the more our enemies push, the less options our people have. Our people don't like to, there's a lot of egotism in our community, it's a lot of hopelessness, it's a lot of different things that exist. In order for our people to get to a different space, the pain is going to have to get great enough. And we're not that far from there. The more they push things in this direction, they're going, the more we're going to get closer to that point where our people realize there are no options. As we get closer to that point, people are going to look for a platform or some basic decency that is simple and something that they don't have to change their religion. They don't have to believe in a bunch of weird stuff. They don't have to bow down and believe somebody's a God that can't be challenged. They don't have to do none of that. They will just believe in something that has a moral base and a racial practicality. And they're going to see straight black pride as that. And in 15 years, straight black pride is going to become through the black race in the 21st century, what up the mighty race can accomplish what you will. The UNIA was our race in the early 20th century. We are the future of our people in terms of organization, the platform, the psychological construct, the social theory of how we pull ourselves out of the condition that we're in as African people, with a simple construct and concept of the direction to go and how to get there. That's who we are. That's who we're going to be. And it's going to be the place for children that don't want sexual abuse, for women that don't want to deal with homosexual males, for brothers that don't want to deal with lesbian females, for people who don't want this kind of insanity in their space and environment. They want to flee to a place. They'll begin to flee to these chapters and say, this is my construct of space. I don't want this insanity in my environment.
There it is, brother. I totally concur. I think that people, especially brothers whom have daughters, and you look at the single mother assault, really, where they can be coerced in believing insanity is sanity, and you look at the brother and you let him know that you have daughters, and I know you want them to be protected, and this ideology will protect them. That these people aren't born this way, but that they assault our children, and this becomes a way of life. I want to thank you for coming on. We definitely be in touch, brother. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to speak with you. Any parting shots, any information you want the people to know?
Yes, I want people to know that on they go to Facebook, Irritated Genie, that's Southeast. Follow that page, you can like that page, follow it, and you'll be able to know on Facebook whenever we're having our new live sessions this weekend. I think it's Monday, 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking about every Monday at 7 o'clock. We're going to be talking about showing people what our Build the Bridges campaign did when we went to the African continent. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing then. Also, people can go to our YouTube, Irritated Genie Speaks. You can see where we basically address many of the concerns that African people are dealing with, and we show people the issues and concerns that our community is dealing with. And then solutions. We provide solutions. Like we're not just talking, we show solutions, we show people what we're doing. That's what we're talking about. Also, lastly, we have our website, worldonthehorizon.com. You can go there if you want videos to really get a thorough understanding, proof, evidence, and a comprehension of connecting the dots of the world condition that we're facing. You go to worldonthehorizon.com and go to our store. You can order our DVDs on many different topics, and you can really get a thorough understanding to help empower you to do something to change your circumstances. So, I want to thank you, brother, for this opportunity. Greatly appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you and your audience again in the future, and I wish you all the best, brother.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Straight black flag.
Straight black flag. Well, that was the Irritated Genie of Southeast, hooking up with Get Your Hand Out My Pocket. Once again, let me put my mic on. Here, we can do a little dissertation, a little after game. Do a little after the game interview. You know how the athletes do. They put the headphones on after the game. Well, they used to back in the 90s. Jordan would drop 40 on somebody. Then after the game, he'd come to the sideline, put the headphones on, the big gawky headphones, and the white guys like, Michael, oh my God, you're jumping out of the gym. Michael's like, well, we felt that the defense was playing a particular way, and I just wanted to get my jump shot going, and from there, my teammates got me the basketball. We played great defense, and we were able to win the game. So this is what we're gonna do. After talking to Irritated Genie, we're gonna take the next 5 or 10 minutes to kind of go over some of the things that happened, and really, the biggest thing is when you take a stance like that, you got to realize, who your real friends are. I mean, that's the biggest point. One, the level of courage to speak truth to power and say you disagree with someone who has millions of people who do not like when you disagree with that individual. And I have great love and respect and admiration for Minister Farrakhan. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to see him speak tomorrow. But we have to be able to say, I don't agree. And it's not in a disrespectful way, again. And I think, certain people have certain ways. He said, I'm just going to call it out. And that's his prerogative. That's exactly what he should be able to do. In terms of when you talk about unity and talking about a nation building and structure, we have to have our own government. I don't want to call 911 for no black person. Cracker mess with me. I call the other crackers, and the other crackers deal with the crackers, and y'all two deal with it. But when I'm dealing with black people, we have to figure out a way to either, all right, this relationship ain't working, we're just going to part ways, or I like for this relationship to continue. I have a misgiving, I have a problem. Can we get a third party in, another brother or sister who we trust arbitrarily? We don't, it's not subjective, so this person doesn't know us. Or maybe you get somebody that know you and you kind of sit down because they know both personalities. Hey, you tend to do this, you tend to do this, and we work it out. Now, this is kind of like a African tribunal, if you want to say. We're trying to do that in our own community where certain beefs or things are going on. Everybody's sitting at the table so that we can discuss this thing. Because when you talk about nation building, you have to exercise, you have to show what it is that you're talking about. You have to practice what you preach, basically. And the people that you are preaching to, and they tell you, well, they're gonna challenge you because they don't want to do it. So they're gonna challenge, say, hey, you talking all this stuff? What you got going on? Oh, we do this, we do this, we do this, and we do this. Now, again, it is telling them what you're doing, but they have to naturally see it. When people come to my house, I don't have cable on. I got Khalid speaking, I got Malcolm speaking, I got animated animations with black people, black animated characters, and that's all my daughters see all day. You understand? You look at my book collection, it's Malcolm X and Sister Shahrazad, and Dr. Johnson. We got authors who are black. Now we ain't 100%. That's the divine deity. That's transcendence. Shout out to Johnny Depp, crack his hell. We ain't there. We not gonna get there until we actually transcend. That's the the word I want like to use. But brother Genie went over a gamut of things. If you're just catching on, or hopefully you'll go through it on the playback, and hopefully you'll be able to listen to and hear everything that was discussed. I try to ask some questions that are normally asked to him, and to see that the stance is still strong. I mean, that's reassuring. I had a conversation with him about uh, a summer camp or something that could be economically beneficial, and at the same time, our people who, like myself, I don't take any vacations. So if my daughters are I won't say out of my hair, but out of my sight, I'm doing more work. I'm actually piling on more work for myself. So I don't really believe in vacations. I don't know when the next time I'm ever going to take an actual vacation. Maybe 5 or 6 years from now, when I feel like enough work has been done for me to exhale and breathe a little bit. But I would trust and absolutely know, other than the grandparents' house, that they would be safe at a camp where they can meet other people, and I know garbage isn't taught to them. You understand? I got to get rid of all the Disney in here too, as well, as I know y'all see it a little bit here. I ain't 100% yet, but I like to go somewhere. I like for them to go somewhere where they ain't gonna see Disney. They're gonna see Africa, 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 Africa. Black men treating black women correctly. There's no swearing. All the great information of our past, especially I got daughters, so the greatness of our African queens who fought in the freedom liberation movement. All those different things. Big picture of Winnie Mandela, stuff like that. We have to be able to create that atmosphere, that reality for our children. If you consider yourself conscious, and that goes into my wartime teachings, you want as a little as possible of the outside world affecting your children. Shout out to the Amish. Even though they white, the one thing they do is they stay in their society. You don't see no TVs, you don't see no cars, and all. They'll go out there and go with the well and have very little clothes on and all that. And I can respect that. Even the brothers and sisters who we'll never meet from North Sentinel Island, because no matter who you are, they're gonna kill you. And you look at them and say they're backwards. No, they're more free than you are. They have their own land. They defend that land. No outsiders can ever step foot on that land. They have their own language. They eat their own food. They can go and do as they please. So the brothers and sisters that's listening to me right now, you ain't free, because you can't do none of that. What I just said that the residents on North Sentinel Island can do. So these are the things. One, these are difficult conversations that we gotta have. Obviously, the stance in regards to the language our leader is using is not acceptable at this point. And these are things we're going to have to deal with. And they don't have to get violent. We do enough violence amongst ourselves. I was reading a story actually in 1972 where two cops attacked the mosque, and the mosque congregants kicked their hind parts. And those are stories that aren't told, but they need to be. They need to be, because there's assumption that we just attack our own people. No, you come inside the mosque, white or black, unannounced, you're gonna get your hind parts whipped. And we got to get back to that, getting our African mind right. Listen, this behavior is not acceptable, and those people right there are our enemies. Those people right there are our enemies. And I was listening to a lecture of Khalid Muhammad, and he was talking about going at it with the KKK and the ADL. Those people shouting out, "How do we want Farrakhan? When do we want him now, dead, or whatever," something like that. But they was basically calling for the death of Farrakhan, and the FOI went out there and handled their business. You know what I mean? We have to show those images so that people can know. We have to be very clear of who our enemy is. And if you recall in the early Hollywood films, and even now, not as much, they're a little bit more covert, but they show the enemy as a black person, and they show the hero as a white man. Tarzan, the old Tarzan movies, you know? And we have to do the same thing. This is wartime teachings. We have to do the same thing. We have to show the black man, the black woman as the heroes, and the crackers as the enemies. The new Purge was something that can be shown that is really truthful. This is a movie that you can show young people and say, this is really, they're really just, they're not blowing whistles anymore. They're really telling you this is what they want to do. They want to isolate you and kill you off. And they already do it in Chicago. Every night, 20 or 30 people are dying. Black people don't commit mass shootings. We don't do that. Even in our insanity, we don't shoot everybody. That person pissed us off. We're gonna try our damnness with the bullets we got in our clip to kill that one person, and that's it. Uh, so anyway, I think it was a great conversation. I think it's great the things that was done in Africa. I did wanted to say I saw that they didn't get reach their goal, and that was, that was upsetting for me personally. I thought that hopefully enough people would contribute so that the amount that he wanted was attained. And our brother Rashid does an excellent job raising money for his movies, which are very, very important, and every black family should have them. But he can get $250,000. I can get our brother Irritated Genie 7 Gs, so we can do all the things that he wanted to do. But um, people are fighting on all fronts. People are fighting on all fronts, and the knowledge needs to increase, but so does the action. And it's great to sit down and have knowledgeable conversations. I don't want to call it intellectual masturbation because stereotypically black people don't talk about anything. We get together and we talk about a bunch of BS that doesn't affect us at all. As a matter of fact, it's more about what the European is doing, what the European corporate entities are doing, what their businesses is doing, football, basketball, all those things. That deals with the European, has nothing to do with us. Absolutely nothing to do with us. But we divulge the majority of our conversation piece on those topics, on those subjects, and it don't benefit us at all. It doesn't improve our way of life. And at least if you can get together and talk about the improvement of your business, that's something. To better advertise for your business, that's something. The effects on religion in your family, a real pertinent conversation. You understand? Brother Julius Malena came up with very strong, strong language. And again, we all, strong black people, love the fact that he's interested in taking the land back from white folks that were unjustly taken from us and expect to be pushed back. The man was serious. He was serious. I mean, I seen the one interview he had last year where the sister jumped up talking about, this is our land and we only the ones to be talking about revolution and getting things back. And he said, sister, that's not true. We all one family. We got to stop with the division. That doesn't matter. I can speak for it. You can speak for it. He can speak for it. It's our land. We're one African family. I understand he's trying to have one African dollar or one African government or something to that effect, which is causes the unification that we need. One thing I didn't get a chance to ask him because it escaped me, but we talk again. If you talk to certain conscious people, and especially you see it on social media, the belief system of eliminating collaborators before an actual revolt, all out revolt. And that is a topic that comes in discussion all the time because historically that had been done. He mentioned China that had done that. Malcolm X talked about that too. No more Uncle Tom Chinaman. 10 years, they got them all out. A picture of the man's daughter killing killing her father because he was Uncle Tom, and now they are a free country, and now they're invading Africa. So now we can't even really deal in terms of respect and admiration for the Chinese because now they're invading Africa. Understand these are business collaborations, business collaborations, and they are not long-term friendships. We cannot fall in love with people. Military science says that you can be a friend in this particular battle or war, and then the enemy the following. And if you look at the war wars, you'll see that that's true. That America was aligned with one or two particular nations, and in part two, or World War II, they were aligned with others. So we have to keep that in mind. I thought it was a great, great interview. I got a bunch of stuff to do today. I'll be running around all day. I'll be outside in the cold. I'm not looking forward to that. But like I asked him about resources. I'm an independent contractor. I do a few things independently uh, to collect funds for my family, and I have to collect funds so I can support other movements as I do. And it's not so much to brag, but when you're talking to somebody or you're listening to somebody, you're buying them. The channel, the emblem, the image is one thing, but the person that's speaking, whether they're speaking truth or not, a bunch of garbage or gibberish, you want to know what they do personally. Because at the end of the day, we start challenging each other. What do you present to the movement? What do you provide to the movement? We have thousands of YouTube channels where guys are disseminating very good information, whether they're referencing people or not. I'm a student as well as a teacher. I divulge into the 85%, the deaf, dumb, and blind, and I teach them. And when I'm around people who have more information than me, I sit and listen. I become a student. I've never had a problem with that. And that comes from my athletic background again. I wanted to be the best player I could be. If someone was better than me, I watched, I learned, and I utilized some of the skill sets that they had. And it's the same thing now. Learning from the Irritated Genie Straight Black Pride movement, we all should be. And hopefully I get it. I may just write that book, Wartime Teachings, and utilize some of the strategies that he has presented. And I think we all should. And we have to make our home and our lifestyle as African as possible. It's not easy. It is not easy. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect. I hang out. I do something. I don't do it in abundance, but you have to be where the 85% is. And as a conscious person, shout out to Kwame Ture, it is your job to make the unconscious conscious. And it's divine law. And I believe that. I believe the ancestors and the universe says you have to help as many people as possible to come to God consciousness. And again, it's a tall order, it's a tall task, but just like these preachers say, um, and my grandfather said this, and I'll end with this because I know y'all been on for a while, and I want to thank y'all for coming on um, and listening and watching. I want you to share this with your friends because we want to grow our channel. I see people's channels got 400 and 500,000 subscribers. Excuse me. And it's not envious because usually it's just showing random videos and stuff. And I use some of those videos for my podcast. So it's great. But imagine the influence we'd be able to do with 50 or 60, 70,000 active subscribers and listeners and contributors. Tariq Nasheed has been able to garner hundreds of thousands of dollars for his movies. Maybe we can do the same thing to build up each other's communities. We have to be able to do that. We have to have small black towns everywhere that we at. So if you guys want to come visit me, I can take you to a business, I can take you to a bank, I can take you to a nightclub, I can take you to a spoken word, all the different things owned and controlled and operated by black people. And we can hang out and we can have plant-based food. If you like soul food, we take you to soul food. If you like a place where you want to have some eclectic music, some old school stuff, meet some nice single women or whatever, we can provide that for you too. And you have a good time and you tell other people when they come too. We have to make our towns tourist towns. That's a lot of money. Tourist towns is a lot of money. People come in for events and things like that and they want to hang out. They don't want to leave for the day. They're there for the weekend. They want to know, hey, what's going on around here? Where can I go to? What's going on? Where can I spend my money? Hey, we got this, and this. We have to be able to do that. Shout out to Claude Anderson, who talked about how he literally, and I have much more respect for him. I already had respect for him, but I love when they divulge in what they've tried to do for our people. Because the sister called in the brother Ben X's show. Shout out to brother Ben X, and asked about the Nation of Islam creating this thing for us. It's like anybody creating nothing for you, but shout out to Claude Anderson. He did that. He said he bought hundreds of acres of land out in Inglewood, Los Angeles. Got a couple businesses, a restaurant, antique store, ice cream shop, a couple other things, and he wanted the people there to create a tour bus. So now you got resources coming in from the tourist attractions, especially when you're in Los Angeles. People going to want to know. They hear all this stuff about Los Angeles. They'll absolutely jump on a tour bus and go around and hear the stories. Arnold Schwarzenegger threw it right here. Something stupid. And they didn't want to do it. You understand? I'm like, damn man, I wish I had somebody who wanted to do that here in Albany. We have a tourist bus, but it's like, I don't want to deal with that. Let's go around our neighborhood, fix up our neighborhood, and we take a tour bus around and we'll talk about what it used to be and what we were able to clean it up to make it now. You understand? These projects here, they were projects, but now we own them and we renovated and we fixed them up. And now this is a community. We put together a community here where certain things to keep uh, your placement within these buildings, these are certain things that you have to do. You have to have enrollment with an accredited organization, grassroots organization. You have to go into a certain amount of conscious events, things of that nature. And you put this thing together, it can be done. And you weed some people out. People will be upset and mad, but you're upset when mad when your cousin and or your quote unquote bro has been killed, but you want nothing to do in terms of changing that reality. That reality will not change until you change the minds of the people. And I think Shrink Black Pride is one of those organizations that will give you your consciousness, give you your right mind. But first and foremost, you got to understand black man needs to be with a black woman. And our children and our family need to be protected from sexual molesters and assaulters. And that has to be said from everybody, from the top to the bottom. It has to be echoed. And again, I have no animus or disrespect toward the minister or the nation. Again, I spent a lot of time with the members of the nation, but I think at this point in time, we have to be strong and totally understand this is not, we don't deal with this type of behavior. And, for the most part, the grassroots, the soldiers on the ground, come as you are, but you can't stay that way. You understand? At some point, a change needs to be made. I personally think once the men go, that's it. You understand what I'm saying? When you're wearing dresses and whatnot, that's it. But the women, no matter what, how far they go, they can be saved. So I wanna sign off. Again, I want to thank our brother Irritated Genie from stopping in. I know the dome light is in your face. This is my bedroom right here. We're starting out slow. Support your brother. Support your brother so we can move up. I'll give you better experiences. Give me an opportunity to research some things that aren't being talked about, to develop things in my own community at the same time, travel and help other people. This is a lifetime gig, as they say. I'm just not something when you see me in 10 years, hey man, you still doing the radio conscious thing and all that. I say, nah, man, I got out of that, man. I'm a social worker now, man. I don't do like conscious stuff. I don't do that hotep stuff, man. I'm about to go get me a bacon sandwich and go watch the football game. Yeah. Nah, not me. Not me. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to win it. So hopefully I get a chance to retire because I really want to win. I really believe in winning. I think we can. I think it can happen in my lifetime. When you get me juiced up, I know we can win. In your downtimes, you think, well, maybe it won't happen in my lifetime, but maybe I can contribute to the next entity. But we're gonna keep on pushing. We got plans locally as well. Shout out to Irritated Genie Straight Play Pride, War on the Rising. Check them out. Check us out. Subscribe. Tell other people about Get Your Hand Up My Pocket. Let them know we mean business. Let them know that we here for our people and we here to stay. We ain't going nowhere. SoundCloud.com/GYHOMP if you're in Albany. 107.3 FM. The Arts. 4 to 6 Saturdays. Get Your Hand in My Pocket. The radio edition. We're gonna have Jamar Milton December 1st. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be dope. And that's gonna be our fourth or fifth big interview. Shout out to my local families, but our people got the brothers and sisters that I mentioned have a little bit more clout and influence, and put in a little bit more work than y'all. But we starting together. We growing together, and that's what I want to do. You want to have influence. You want to build people up. Biggie, if shout out to Notorious B.I.G. He talked about when he got on, he was going to bring Junior Mafia on, and that's what he did. He literally only did the 2 albums because he spent so much time with Junior Mafia writing their rhymes. He did everything for them, writing their rhymes, getting their music, getting their beats, finding their producers, travel, and all that stuff. And there was only a couple of them that can rhyme. But that was the type of brother he was, and that's what I want to become: is to increase the influence, increase viewership, so that we can king and queen our people in the community, and then now we build up that Voltron, and then we expand. So, as Brother Genie talked about with politics, if it's done the correct way, it can be done. And I'm not against that. I'm not against that. I'm against the old Negro just go out and vote. John Lewis, vote. Barack Obama, vote. Just randomly. Just don't. You have a problem with things? Vote. You ain't give me a plan and a plot and structure. You ain't point me to an organization that's doing it the right way. If you don't know the manifesto of the organization, just say, hey, Justice Else, they're right down the street, or here's this number right here. Contact this brother if you're interested in voting, and they'll tell you their plan, and maybe you should get with them, see if you like what you hear, because you don't just want to throw your vote all willy nilly. We, as us as black men, we do that enough with our penises. We just hey, you got a big butt, you got a big butt, you got a big butt, and we do all that. And we got children everywhere, wasting our seed, wasting our life force, and ruining these wombs. So I don't know how we got to that, but if you're going to vote, use it strategically, garner with a bunch of people. And if you ain't got a plan or a plot or structure, then, hold your vote. Use that as a strategy as well. All right, I'm out, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Get your hand out my pocket. Peace.